Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Impact Review March 14th. I'm going to make this really early, just going to state this. I had spent a good portion of the day doing some stuff, but when it was time to do this video, I have redone it 3 times already. No, actually 4 because my batteries died. I had to do it a 4th time. This is the 5th time. Because it's so hard to come up with what's really can be explained about this review. I mean, we already know Aces and Eights is dominating this review, and you're going to hear about Aces and Eights. People who like Aces and Eights, they're going to hear what they want. People who don't like Aces and Eights, they're going to hear what they want. But for the rest of the show, not much was done. Some things will lead into Slammiversary, but it's just so hard to try and structure this review. And gotta breathe. I'm gonna leave Aces and Eights for the end because it's obvious that's what's dominating the show. I'm gonna do my best to explain the things that was done in the show that weren't bad, that weren't done at all, and I'm very anxious to see. Now, what I'm very sad about is this: no Kenny King, no Christian York, no Zima Ion, no Rockstar Spud, no Kid Cash. None of them were there in this show, which I felt was very wrong. I understand you're pushing what you're pushing, but certain things could have been left out so they could be presented. Because it was... See, look, if you go to TNA's website, and I've said this many times, the person you currently see on the roster that's still there is... Who do we got? Jesse Sorensen. He's still shown on the roster, so that means he's supposed to come back. So a Jesse Sorensen Zima Ion match must eventually happen if he can come back. There's a good chance he will. But if they don't start showing the exhibition and start working on Zima Ion when he does come back, and they throw this together at the last minute, it will be the greatest travesty that has been done in a promotion in at least 10 years. Because they got a monster on their hands when Jesse Sorensen comes back. And they need to present the X Division because he's got to go in there. Even if he is back and he's in OVW, you got to get Zima Ion ready. Because how is this going to look? So I'm moving on. Okay, I'm going to get this done. The tag team of Gail Kim and Tara versus Velvet Sky and Mickie Jane. And Terrence Terrell is currently on probation, even though Brooke Hogan has not been clear-minded since what happened at Lockdown. And I have my thoughts on that, and I may be talking about a YouTuber in a minute. But the match itself was kind of botchy. You see clearly Velvet Sky wasn't noticing what she was doing because she went into the corner of Tara instead of to Mickie Jane. This entire match was nothing but to set up a Gail Kim with a Terrence Terrell with a Velvet Sky as a ref. This is what I believe. If I'm wrong, fine. Give me your thoughts below if I'm wrong or not. But the way they're structuring this, you're going to have Terrence Terrell wrestle, even if it's only once, against Gail Kim. It's going to happen. This is the only storyline we're getting from TNA right now. They could have done something with Mickie Jane and turned her heel. They could have done something with Miss Tessmacher with Mickie Jane. I wouldn't mind seeing Tessmacher and Mickie Jane have a feud, especially if Mickie Jane becomes a heel, a crazy female heel lesbian like she did in WWE. I said that in my Knockouts restructure, in other words, rebuilding the Knockouts division, that she could become a very good heel again. We haven't seen her as a heel in a while. But they're not doing that. They're going to do a Gail Kim versus Terrence Terrell with a Velvet Sky as a ref. There's no one else they're going to include in this. This is what I'm seeing. So that's the entire match. You got Tara jobbed by Velvet Sky. She wins, Velvet Sky. But Velvet really wasn't put over here. So it kind of hurts to see that the Knockouts champion wasn't presented. And there's no ODB. We don't see her much either. So it's kind of sad to see this. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm hoping they'll restructure the Knockouts, but I don't believe it's going to happen. Next, we got Robbie E and Robbie T. Now, I've said this for several weeks, that they're going to break up and they will have a feud together. By Lockdown they did. And I said on my Lockdown review, if you take a look at it, that Robbie T and Robbie E will not be separated immediately. They're going to keep them together no matter if we like it or not. And we got a rematch this night on the Chicago Arena. It's not the name of that, but in Chicago, in the arena, we got Robbie E and T together. Robbie T destroys Robbie E. I still believe they're going to keep doing this feud and somehow something's going to be screwy for a little bit longer. I'll be glad if they split them off now and present Robbie T well. But do I believe that's going to happen? No, I don't. I do not believe at all it's going to happen. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the Legion of Boom. No, I can't do it. No. I'm not saying, ooh, what a tush. Ooh, what a rush. Cool for the Legion of Doom. The Legion of Doom is one of the teams I've always loved. The Road Warriors are the ones I love, but there's no way I'm going to say, ooh, what a tush from Christopher Daniels. No. Only he can do that. And they had Throwback Thursday, bringing Bad Attitude into the Legion of Doom character. I was actually enjoying this shit. It was funny. Seeing them doing the Legion of Doom bit was actually quite good. In fact, it was so good that I wouldn't mind them keeping the Legion of Boom for a little while. I don't have a problem with Bad Influence. I love them. But give them the Legion of Boom. Keep them in some different type of face paint for a little while. They will piss people off and they'll get over even more. So James Storm comes out and says, you know what? You two are not even close to Legion of Doom. You don't got the size, you don't have the voice, and you don't smell bad enough. One of you is going to have to decide to come in here so I can knock their teeth down their throat. Not in no many words, but that's basically what happened. And James Storm did win, but there was a little twist at the end. Bad Influence, the Legion of Boom starts kicking the James Storm ass, and I wish to say a shout out to Dick Storm, James Storm's cousin. I'm sorry that your cousin got his ass whooped. And I'm sorry for what happened after that, but I do believe the storm is going to rise. Now, what does that mean? What happened afterwards? Originally, it was supposed to be AJ Styles that was supposed to come out. We were finally going to get something about AJ Styles. But the Legion of Boom comes out. And as the Legion of Boom kicks the ass of a James Storm, we got AJ, when no music comes down, punches Kazarian in the face. And then stares like he's got a laser burning right through Kazarian and through Christopher Daniels. And at that moment, I'm thinking, oh no. No. They're not going to do this. They're not going to throw Christopher Daniels at AJ again. No. He cold cocks James Storm. Makes him go inside out. And I wish to say if this was planned or if it was spontaneously that it happened, which I think it might have been spontaneous. The hood on AJ's sweatshirt flipped up at the right moment. It could have been also planned by AJ. But when that happened, that gave it a huge boost. An increased dynamic. Seeing a dark AJ Styles again is actually a good thing. Hopefully they're going to structure him right. And I'm actually very, very intrigued to find out what the hell is going to happen between AJ and James Storm. I have no problem having a feud between these two as long as it's done properly. And it may culminate in a match at Slammiversary. That's what I'm believing. I don't think they'll end it. But you never know how TNA is. They're kind of screwy that way. The next thing that I enjoyed was Joseph Park's segment. Going in front of the Chicago crowd. Playing to the crowd. It was some good shit. But it got better when the Blueprint Matt Morgan showed up. Ooh. I have to say this was actually quite good. Matt Morgan saying to, and I have to mention a little bit of what's going to happen at the end. But when he said about Hulk Hogan, all the decisions you made bad, this piece of crap you got in the ring with me right now should have never been done. Now you get out of my ring or I'm going to knock your teeth down your throat, fatty. Not in those many words, but pretty much that's what he said. When he refused, in the end of the entire segment, you got a carbon footprint put into the face of a Joseph Park. Now it looks like we got a Joseph Park feud with a Matt Morgan, which I wouldn't mind. Joseph Park is over. Matt Morgan, who should have been over quite a long time ago, is going to be presented, I hope. And hopefully this will also be a feud that will culminate in the Slammiversary. And I'm hoping for it. I am hoping for this. I'm hoping they don't touch much. If they must touch, make it a brawl so there's no matches. Make sure Matt Morgan looks beast. So when it does come to Slammiversary, we'll get a good match. That's what we need, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we need. But are we going to get it? I don't think so. But I'm hoping with all that is in me happens. Now, there was no gut check, which is understandable. Usually it's once a month. So we'll see what's going to happen in April for gut check. I didn't say nothing earlier. Now, should I say this? I've already talked about Christopher Daniels and about Storm. Alright, this one I'm going to talk about because this pretty much is the last match. Sting versus Austin Aries. Now, I'm not going to mention what happened with Sting. I'll mention it later. But when he ran into Austin Aries and Robert Roode, that was some funny shit. When Robert Roode heard Sting saying he want to fight and he started looking in his face, he creeped his ass like going. That was some funny shit. It was simple. It was really corny, but it was still very well done. And the match itself, and I'm not mentioning the end, was actually very good. The Chicago crowd loved the match. And I also wish to say, the Chicago crowd really was quite good. I don't believe they used much canned heat because there were points in the entire show where there was drops and there was highs. It's also possible the reason they didn't use canned heat was because the TNA technical crew might have been a bit sloppy because parts throughout the night things weren't working very well. Sound was giving them problems. When it came to showing something about video on the lower end of their show, parts of the show, where you would see something about the next venue, you hear the noise like they were going to show something right afterwards. Nothing was done. Then they did it again afterwards and then they showed it. And even some of the camera angles seemed a little botchy. So either they got new people working for them, or the old people have a problem that they were off that night, or maybe there was just some type of technical problem because of the venue they were in. You never know that the venue could have been a problem for them. So I'm not going to totally bury the technical crew of TNA, but it was a bit botchy. So I'm hoping the next time and in the next city and state they go into, they'll do better. Now, it's time. It's time to do what I know many people have been waiting for, that I've been pretty much loathing and liking at the same time. Actually, loathing. There was no liking. The Aces and Eights segment throughout the night. It's time to do it. I'm going to make this quick for certain parts. Others, I'm going to be very lengthy. The tag team match that was supposed to happen between the Dirty Heels, Austin Aries and Robert Roode, versus the Stereotypicals never happened because Aces and Eights interfered with that. Not going to say what happened there because it was just too much. But it was all about Bully Ray. That's all I'm going to mention. I wish to say that the segments throughout the night made no sense in certain parts. One, why was there no clubhouse meeting? In a clubhouse. These guys were sitting at a table in the back drinking beer. One of the things that, even though really who cared about, but was necessary, was the clubhouse. Why could not they keep the clubhouse? Was it because now Bully Ray is not a boss showing himself? They don't need a clubhouse? Yes, they still need the clubhouse. Because it doesn't make any sense. Wherever they've gone, they had the clubhouse. The Alamo Dome had a clubhouse. I mean, it wasn't shown, but it's pretty much apparent they had to have a clubhouse. So why was it not there? And then, that didn't even make any sense whatsoever. Talking about firing them. Look, Mike Knox was not hired. Never stated. Doc was not hired. Never stated. Devon was not hired. Never stated that he was hired. So you got 3 people out of 8 that wasn't hired. So saying you're going to fire us, Hulk, you're going to fire us, I don't think you got the balls to do it. Look, 5 out of those 3 were hires. Yes. But what was the point of it in the first place? Because even if you fire everybody, you're just going to come back anyway. Because you already got 3 people who are not working there who are coming in anyway. That made no fucking sense. It didn't. And then, throughout the night when we saw these segments, and then seeing Bully Ray trying to torment Brooke Hogan, and I am about to get to her in a minute and mention the YouTuber I said, but really would have been better in the clubhouse with him surrounded by women. Women! If you're going to have Bully Ray fucking with Brooke Hogan, who's supposed to be his wife now, he should have been in the clubhouse with the 2 or 4 women they keep showing from time to time, smoozing all over him. That would have been a much better and more dramatic moment than in the back with the boys drinking beer saying, "Hi, Brooke." What the fuck? That made it worse. Now, I wish to say that was actually disappointing, this segment. And I wish to talk about a YouTuber called, I believe her name is Ms. Impact. Now, I've seen Ms. Impact. She's actually one of my subscribers, which I thank you very much, Ms. Impact. Thank you for subscribing. I read her YouTube page where she really loves TNA. If I believe it's a woman, so she loves TNA, and she really likes Brooke Hogan. And I'm sure she wasn't told, I don't know if she felt like Brooke Hogan got enough of her due. I don't believe she did. Now, if Ms. Impact, if you do see this, tell me below what you thought about what happened with Brooke Hogan. Me personally, I thought Brooke Hogan should have had a bigger segment. Because just saying how she felt after lockdown, which is very small, very short segments, I don't think they were effective. We don't know how good Brooke Hogan can be as an actress. It's obvious. She only just came into the business recently, and we're not sure if she can really get over. That's understandable why they would kind of make the segments for the last 6 to 8 months kind of shortish. But the problem here is this, ladies and gentlemen. If you're saying that Brooke is totally and wholly pissed the fuck off that her husband is the head of Aces and Eights, why didn't you do it on this show? If they show it the next week, I feel it's really foolish that they should have shown it this week and maybe broken it up across a couple of sessions. Show her being so upset somewhere else. Like I said earlier with Bully Ray and having some women wrapped around his ass and he's smelling their knockers, like rubbing his face into their tits. That would have been more dramatic and more of a greater feel than this. And Brooke Hogan deserved a more bigger segment. She did. I don't believe she got treated right in this segment. And I don't know what's going to happen next week. If they have her finally talking next week, I believe it's a travesty because it should have been done this week. And then expanded on next week. Not a pre-tape of her crying her eyes out. She deserved to talk. She does. It's almost been a week since it happened. She deserved to talk. Now, I'm moving on to the Sting and Hogan segments. And I may leave that in my title below, Sting and Hogan No More. Seeing Hogan being angry as hell at Sting, which is understandable because Sting was the one to convince Hogan, It makes sense. The question is now, what happens? If they're still basically faces, but now they're not talking to one another, what is the conflict we're going to have? Is it going to be aces and eights? How far are they going to go with this with Sting and Hogan? And I have something to say about Hogan at the end of this review. But Sting and Hogan, I'm not sure how they're going to do this. And I'm not even sure what should be done with this. Because the aces and eights entire storyline and faction is not good now. Bully Ray being the president of aces and eights didn't really bring the show up that much. It's like Finlay being the head of the Nexus, and then Finlay not seeing that much, but Bully Ray is. Now Bully Ray to me is a very good heel, but he's working with a bad gimmick now, and I don't think he can fix it. So by the time of the end of the show, when Austin Aries and Sting had their fight, and then you see him saying to the entire crowd in Chicago that Hulk Hogan's not going to do nothing. He don't got no fucking balls. I'm going to do whatever I want. You ain't going to be able to do nothing to me, old man. What the damn hell you going to do to me, huh? With all his boys in the ring, all 8 of them. Pretty much 8 or 9 of them. I lost count of how many fuckers that are there. When Hulk Hogan comes out, he says, you know what? I'm telling you right now, Bully. I'm telling all of you, you're going to pay the piper for what you did. You know something, brother? You will pay everything you did to me, the Impact crowd, my family. I'm telling everybody in the back, all men and women, and no women came out. What the fuck? What was the point of saying to women if they're not allowed to come out? But the entire crew of the Impact is going to come and get you. Hardy's music hits. Hardy comes out. Joe comes out. Magnus comes out. Robbie T comes out. Joseph Park comes out. The only person I didn't see who could have tried to go back in was Sting. And Angle, who got jumped later in the night, which I don't understand why I had to go to Angle. What was the point? Because of Wes? It should have been Wes that had the most greatest moment there. And even though he was there, it didn't feel like Wes was the one who was the most over. It felt like they were trying to push D'Lo Brown over using Kurt Angle, at least by my perspective. Tell me how you feel. But in the end, with all those people that went into the ring, aces and eights kicked the ass of everybody. And still Bully Ray says, what are you going to do, Hulk? What are you going to do? What are you going to do, Hulk? What? Hulk wants to rush him, but he can't because he's still on crutches. And they end the show that way. So, how do I feel about this show? It felt like a clusterfuck of aces and eights. There was just too much of it. There was no X Division. Not at all. I didn't feel like it was right. It just felt so lopsided. But I have to say that this is still promoting Slammiversary, and I have to give it a B-. I know you're going to say, why? If it's that bad, why would you give it a B-? Simple. 1 match. 1. Bully Ray versus Hulk Hogan for the world title. Oh yes, I'm saying it now. If no one says it yet, I'm saying it. For the simple fact is this. The way they're structuring this, because they had so much conflict months before when it was Terry and Mark, I really believe this has become so personal that eventually a Slammiversary match between Hogan and Bully Ray will be necessary to end aces and eights. At least I hope. That's what I'm hoping for. The most we might get, if it's not going to be Hogan, it's going to be Sting against Bully Ray, and Sting will get the title. But I don't believe they're going to use Sting. I believe they're going to use Hogan. I know Hogan's back is completely fucked up, but he may be able to do this. At least present it. I don't know. It's going to count on what they're going to do. But I'm giving this a B-. Not that it was a solid show. No, it wasn't. But still, this is still promoting the storyline of Aces and Eights with a new leader, with the leader of Bully Ray, dealing directly with Hulk Hogan. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View. Subscribe and comment to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I hope you have a good day and have a good night. And always remember, Hulk Hogan, brother, will always live forever.